Hello everyone, welcome to another week's live. G'day, we've already got someone here. G'day Chris, how are you? So, as always, join you another Wednesday night. So at the moment I seem to be doing this fortnightly. It's a bit of a pattern, but we're still testing things out. So as always, we'll jump into tonight's quiz before I do the introduction. So tonight's quiz, leave it in the comments, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching. So the question is, how much net worth do you need to be in the top 50% globally? So how much net worth, which is assets less liabilities, how much money kind of you got in assets, shares, bank accounts, etc. Do you need to be into the top 50% of net worth owners globally? So we've got A, 500,000, B, 100,000, C, 6,000, or D, 45,000. So leave your comment on whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube, leave what you think. So for those that haven't joined before or those that join every week, we normally start with a bit of a quiz and it's just a fun way to get started while everyone joins. And then what we'll do is jump into tonight's topic. So I'm just going to be talking about the mindset of money. I'm not exactly sure where that's going to go, but this kind of question will lead into that a bit of, well, what does money actually really mean? What's a mindset that you can utilize to utilize that money and to make sure you're making best use of it, etc. Because unfortunately, even if you might want to think that money's not important and stuff, unfortunately, it does rule the world kind of thing. There's everything that happens in life typically does have a money component to it. So it's a bit hard just to ignore that. So got a couple guesses coming in here. So one for B, so 100,000. And one for D, 45,000, but kind of want to say C due to poor countries having a high population. And that is an interesting thing that I suppose I can touch on briefly, is that there is such a discrepancy between those, like the top 1% here or the top 0.1% of people with their net worth versus those at that bottom scale. And that goes beyond just obviously money. It goes into a lot of different things in life. And it's a really interesting thing. And we've got another guess here for B, so another guess for 100,000. I only read something the other day about the discrepancy between higher net worth countries. So what they deem as a higher net worth country of vaccine coverage is around something like 60 to 70% of the average. And then when we get to the lower economic countries, it's at 2% of first doses. So there's such a big discrepancy and it goes beyond just money. That's where I'm talking about the mindset of money. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of it is that money then flows into a lot of other things that happen in life. And they're seeing that with, something that's completely, you'd think, unrelated to money, health, but it's showing that even in Australia, we've got suburbs in some of those cities that have had outbreaks that have had a discrepancy that the lower social economic societies have had less vaccine coverage, poorer health results. And yeah, I think that's why money education is really important. And that's probably a bit of what tonight we focus on, just talking about money education. So we've got a guess for A, so 500,000. So we've got one guess for A, two for B, one for D, nothing for C. And, well, you're all wrong. It is C. It's $6,000. So if you have $6,000 in net worth, so whether that's $6,000 across your bank accounts or in value in your home or in a few investments or value in a car, for instance, you have more net worth than over 50% of the population. Now, this was a study I read. The figures were in US, so I think it was 4,600 US. So I've converted it. So yeah, if you've got more than $6,000 across your accounts, you have more money than half the global population. I think that really does put it in perspective. And yeah, so crazy. Wow, that is crazy. Yeah, it's really interesting. And I think that's why I wanted to talk about the mindset of money. But yeah, $6,000, that's not a lot of money. Someone goes and buys a car for $6,000, save up, and they've got that. People get paid and it's sitting in their bank account. 6,000 isn't a lot. And you've got more money than what 50% of the population have. And I think it is a concern, because that just shows that the discrepancy between wealth is crazy. And I was having a look at some other factors, and I haven't got the study in front of me now, but if you have a household annual income of about $150,000 Australian, so you've got two people, after tax that is, two people that are earning about that $100,000 mark, that'll get you to that point, which we would deem them as being relatively well off. But they are more well off than what they probably think. They're in the top 1% globally of earners. So I think people get really confused to money and don't understand that there is such a discrepancy. And yeah, these comments have just shown it that, yeah, well, I feel rich, maybe. Yeah. Only 20 years old and already in the top 50%. Feels really weird to think about it. And it is. I think that comment there really sums it up, that you don't have to have huge amounts of money to have more than others. And that's why I think comparing yourself to others really becomes irrelevant at times, because, well, to turn around and that's where statistics can be misleading and go, well, I'm richer than half the people on the world. What does that really mean? Versus someone that you can see that gap is crazy. There's so many people that have less than that, obviously, but that the breadth of what happens beyond that is crazy to see, the billions and trillions of dollars that some family groups and stuff have got versus someone that has that $6,000. So yeah, it's definitely, and it does, yeah, shows a lot of poor people across the world, and it is a concerning. And I wish I had some of those other factors in front of me of some of the other, like the lack of, I suppose, those statistics would show how many people even have $1,000 in savings. And that's, I suppose, leads into what I want to talk about of tonight's topic, which, if I bring it up here, is money mindsets. And I think that money education is really important to teach people from a young age, because the more educated you can be, the more you can tackle some of those challenges that life throws at you. And that's why I think it is a really important thing to learn. But that mindset can be easily changed when you go to a simple fact like that. And I was shocked when I read it. It was like, oh, wow, $6,000 isn't a lot. I know that $6,000 wouldn't last a long time. If I had no business, no employment, no money coming in, $6,000 would not feed me for a long time, house me for a long time, pay for electricity. I don't have kids, but if you had children, the cost of children, to feed them, to clothe them, to make sure they've got a roof over their shoulder, 6,000 Australian doesn't last very long. And to think that 50% of people have less than that is a concern. And, you know, a comment here, I agree, it's very sad to think about for those that are in need. And that's what I mean. If you've got 50% of people, to me, $6,000 would last. You know, you'd struggle to find in Australia any type of property that's going to be able to be rented for it. You wouldn't get a year's worth of rent for $6,000. Like, it's not a lot of money. And to not have that, and that's people of all ages. Like, if we were to do this study and go, okay, under 30s, I'd start to go, oh, it makes sense. You start a job, you blow your money, you don't necessarily have those savings. But to have over 50% of the population of the world, it does show that there is a lot of discrepancy between earnings. And I think that's why the mindset, money is a lot about mindset and making sure that you do have an understanding. And that's what I want to talk about, is that why mindset's really important when it comes to money, is that it's really easy to just go, well, I don't care about money. I'm not interested in it. But like I said earlier, there's so many things in life that money is important for. And therefore, it's important to have some understanding. Money is definitely not everything. Money shouldn't be tied to your happiness levels, shouldn't be tied to your health, although, as I'm saying, sometimes, unfortunately, it is. But I think still having understanding can help with some of these things. So let's take it from a happiness point of view. People are typically happy when they're doing things that they enjoy doing. So do you not enjoy your job? Well, maybe if you keep investing, saving, learning more about money, you can put yourself in a situation where you can take a lower paying job and therefore enjoy it. Or if you got better with budgeting, maybe your expenses come down and therefore you can do that job that you enjoy more. Or you can cut back on hours, spend more time with your kids, more time with your family. So having that mindset of going, well, I don't want money to rule my life, but if I have a better understanding of it, I can then better my mindset in other areas, spend more time with family, spend more time with friends, go out, travel, do all those things. But you still need to have that in your back of your mind going, okay, well, as long as my money, and I have that right mindset and my approach when it comes to money, it allows me to do these things. And then obviously things like health, you want to have the money there that if an emergency thing comes up, especially depending on which country you're in. Here in Australia, we're quite lucky. We have a good public health system, but you want to be able to make sure you are keeping up with your health. And sometimes that does cost you money. If you want to put yourself in a situation where private health might make sense to you from a health standpoint, you want to put yourself in a situation where you've got that money to do it. So by just adjusting your mindset to, rather than going, oh, I want to be rich or those kind of things, it's not about that when it comes to money. It's about understanding money, how it's going to work for your situation, and therefore having an understanding of, well, why is money going to be important to me? So, okay, so for me, it might be, okay, I want to have the freedoms to be able to travel the world. I want to eventually have a family. So therefore, I want to be able to put my situation where I can put myself where I can support my kids and give them a good lifestyle. I want to be able to have that flexibility to be able to run a business so that you can have the freedom that if you want to have a day off, you can. All those types of things might be important to me. And therefore, my mindset around money might be going, okay, have I got a budget in place so I understand what I need to earn to be able to do those? I want to go on a holiday. How much money do I need to have for that? So it's all about having that mindset of going, okay, I don't want money to rule my life, and I don't want to, my goal isn't to become rich, but I want to have enough understanding about money so that therefore I can really make sure that I'm focusing on what things do make me happy without that stress of money. So I think that's a big thing with mindset, is by having that mindset that you want to educate yourself about money, takes away that negative mindset, that negative mind frame about money where you're getting really super stressed about it. Because that's where a lot of stresses in relationships come from, people's individual situations, is a lot of time about money. So by educating yourself and having a better mindset, a better mind frame, and approaching it from a different way can really help. I think that comes into why you can't ignore money. And I've touched on that a bit, obviously, during this video already, of saying, well, you can't just ignore money. Unfortunately, it exists. It doesn't matter what form of how far you go back, whether it was money or whether it was the barter system or whether in the future it might be cryptocurrencies. Anything that has a value, we exchange goods and services for something of value. So therefore, when you're going to want to buy things, it is going to involve money. I don't see that ever changing, or not for a long, long time. Unless we have a dramatic shift in society. Unfortunately, money is going to be around, and therefore you need to have an understanding. You can't just ignore it. I've seen so many people go, oh, I don't care about money. I'll just go spend my whole paycheck, whatever, I'll get by. And I really think that's really disappointing and shows a lack of education, that you can still spend, you can still have fun, you can still go do things, but just that mindset around that and going, oh, well, money doesn't exist and I'm just going to blow it all, that doesn't make sense. I suppose that's why you see the stories of those that win the lottery or inherit a large amount of money and they blow through it all because their mindset just goes, oh, well, there's money in their bank account, I can spend it. I've got thousands of dollars, I can spend it. I didn't have that before, who cares? I'll blow through it all. And then unless they change their mindset and their approach to money, they'll just end up in that same situation. You see those stories. Big multi-million-dollar thing goes bankrupt. Big multi-million-dollar person, like you win a lottery and you end up in debt. Or you see sports players, actors that have a short-term, really successful career, and you think, wow, they've earned so much money and they have nothing because their lifestyle creeps. They earn $100,000, they spend 90. They earn $1 million, they spend 900,000, and that keeps going like this. And therefore they have nothing to show for it at the end. So it's definitely an interesting thing. And I think it all comes down to education. And I think that shows, unfortunately, that stat, I'll keep coming back to that $6,000, the net worth of $6,000, you've got more than 50% of the global population. But what does that show about potential education? Because I think a lot of people, especially those that are lucky enough to live in countries like Australia, the US, the UK, some of these higher, richer countries, I think there's definitely the possibility that every single person in those countries should have a net worth higher than that. And that education doesn't matter if you start from nothing, that it's easy to do by actually going and going, I want to educate myself. I want to get some form of education. I want to just get a job and then put savings away. Like, it can happen. I don't think it's impossible for anyone. I think anyone can do it. And it doesn't matter what age they're at. It doesn't matter if they're 18, just leaving school, or whether they're 80. And they go, I want to change this. I want to enjoy my last few years of life by taking some money stresses away. I think it can happen, but I think it's that mindset of willing to be educated. And that's probably the scariest thing I see a lot of people that my age or maybe a little bit younger, especially when I deal with, I suppose, younger clients, and they go, tax, oh, I don't care about tax, I'm just going to ignore it. Or I don't care about money, I don't care about investing, I don't care about saving, I don't care about budgeting. But then when they regret that 30 years later because they're in that net worth of nothing. They're in debt. They're in negative net worth. They owe money on their car that's depreciated in value. They've got no savings. They've got no home loan because they've got no home. Like, they're just renting. They owe money to friends. They owe money to family. They've got credit card debt, and they've got nothing to show for it. And again, I think it's just that little bit of education early on. The earlier you can educate your kids, have a look at things like The Barefoot Investor. There's the Families book. look at these different things that you can do to start educating your children. Or if you're not educated, make it your thing that you want to do in this next 12 months to go, I want to educate myself so I can educate my children about money. And, there's lots of, I hope that some of the content on my channel is educating people on some of the basic principles of money, the basic principles of tax, all those types of things that can then allow you to go educate your children and give them a head start that maybe you didn't get in life. So I really would be interested. I know it's a bit of a different topic tonight, but yeah, if anyone does have any thoughts on things that they've done to change their mindset when it comes to money, what does money really mean to you? They're different, interesting conversations to have. So there's a few books I definitely want to read on this subject, on the psychology of money. I can't remember whether that was what it's called, but yeah. Now, I do have a couple questions that did come through. If you do have any questions, leave them in the comments. I will get to them. The first one, how do you get rich quick? Well, first, I'd want to ask anyone who wants to get rich quick of why do you want to get rich quick? I've just talked about the mindset of, okay, if you got rich, what would happen if you actually got $1 million overnight? Would that change your life? A lot of people think, oh, I've got $1 million. Sweet, that's it. I'm done, retire. And don't really realize how long $1 million lasts. At $50,000 a year, it's only 20 years. Okay, well, then what? Like, if you win the lottery at my age at 27, well, win $1 million. $1 million definitely wouldn't allow me to retire tomorrow. Like, well, yes, you could invest it, etc. But yeah, why do you want to get rich quick? Like, I think that's a really, really interesting thing of going, yeah. Comment here, Chris. Get rich quick. If you have 6K, you are rich. There you go. And that's really interesting is, what is rich? Like, rich, where do you draw the line? Of if you're going to talk about richness in a money aspect, who's rich? Like, why don't you become rich in things that you enjoy? Happiness, health, those things are what really are important. But yeah, so yeah, that was back to that thing. The book, The Psychology of Money, is an interesting book. Yeah, I definitely want to read more books. I have my goal this year of reading 5 books for the calendar year of 2021. And we are now, the 29th of September. I haven't read a page. So I've got 3 months. I'm leaving it tight, but it's going to happen this weekend. I'm going to read a couple pages of a book. So, but yeah, how do you get rich quick? Well, one way to not get rich quick, don't go and start a YouTube channel. It's going to take time. But the exciting thing, I have reached monetization, so I'll be talking about that soon. But yeah, I think, again, it comes back to that mindset of, do you really need to get rich quick? Why are you trying to get rich quick, etc.? Go and work that out before you actually want to work out the how you're going to do it. So a couple more comments. So budgeting is the key. Yeah, I think budgeting or tracking your money, it doesn't necessarily have to be a budget where you go, I've got $100 for groceries, and if I go over that, the world ends. I don't think that's the type of budgeting for people, but having an understanding of being realistic. All right, I've got $1,000 come in a fortnight. This is what my bills are going to be. This is my home loan. This is what's left. Does that make sense? I think too many people go through and go, I'll just wing it. They know that they've got $1,000 coming in and they know it's going to be $1,500 coming out and just don't really know how it's going to work and just go, well, I'll just wait till there's nothing in the account. Or they have $1,000 coming in and $500 coming out, and next minute $1,000 come out because they just spent the rest. So I think budgeting or maybe just having an understanding of the realism of what's coming in and what's going out really helps. So yeah, so Chris has got, for me, rich is freedom of time, not living to make money, but living without the worry of money. And that really sums up everything I'm trying to say tonight, is that it's not about money. And I don't think putting a dollar figure on, I want to earn millions of dollars a year, or I need to have $1 million net worth or anything like that. It's having that ability to understand, educate yourself about money, so that therefore you're not worried about money, because it doesn't matter whether it's $1,000 that you need a week or $1 million that you need a week. As long as you have an understanding of, I've got that covered, therefore I can focus on other things in my life. And that's something I really try to go, yeah, obviously I'm a numbers person, accountant, so obviously money is a part of that. And I enjoy tracking money things from a satisfaction point of view, because I enjoy achieving goals, but I don't really care about the money side of it. And I think people get confused with that it's like, I track things within my business to go, okay, I've got revenue goals or a net worth goal, etc., and I want to build that up. But I just see that as an achievement and something I'm working to, and I enjoy the process of it rather than what the actual money side of it is. I don't sit there and spend a huge amount of money or anything like that. So it's definitely, again, it's changing that mindset. So yeah, running and Audible is king. Yeah, I'll get into running. I'll come back to that comment, Chris. Yeah, people should remember to focus on themselves and find their own happiness rather than trying to impress others with money and things. And that is really true. I really like that, because when people are focusing on increasing their net worth or increasing their earnings purely so they can show off to others, that's an issue. If you want to go buy that new car just so you can rock up to your friends and go, look what I've got. Well, how many people go and buy a bigger home or do things to their house just so that their family will be impressed? Like, if that's your mindset, you're in trouble. Like, you want to do things, and there's nothing wrong with having expensive taste and going, I want to buy a new car. I want to do this, but do it because you want to do it, not because you want to put a photo on Instagram and show everyone, or you want to, when your family rock up for the next family reunion, go, oh, look at me. I have the biggest house. I have the newest oven. I have the newest appliances, the newest phone, the newest watch, the designer brand clothes. If you're doing it for those reasons for others, you're in trouble. If you do it for yourself, there's nothing wrong with having money goals or things that you do want to buy if that makes you happy, as long as it's for you, not for others. So very true. Yep, appreciate that. It's yeah, definitely an interesting area, and it's definitely an interesting topic. And yeah, the other question was, how much do you need to retire? This is a very broad question. Definitely, you're going to have to do a bit more research than what I'm going to be able to give you. But the things I will say is, you don't have an idea of what are your expenses going to be at retirement. These are the basics of it. You need to have an understanding of what's going to be going out when you're at retirement. That might be different to what you're doing when you're working, but it could be more. Are you wanting to travel more, and therefore you need more money to be able to do that? Are you planning on having hopefully grandchildren maybe that you know you're going to want to spend money on them, for instance? And then you need to understand, well, what's going to be coming in when you retire? Are you going to have nothing, which might be normal, and that's just then going to be a pension or a super income stream, super pension, however you want to work that out? Are you still going to hold investments that may return money? Have you got a passive form of income that's going to return you money? Are you going to do a little bit of part-time work still? Like, understanding of what's coming in, what's going out, and then having a work out, okay, normally in retirement, what's going to be coming in is going to be less than what's going to be going out. And then having a work out, okay, what's the difference? It might be, all right, it's $10,000 a year. How much have I got in savings? How many years do I need to hopefully, if you're retiring at 65, you're probably going to want to hopefully aim to live to 100. So you might have 35 years and you go, okay, I need 10 grand a year. I need $350,000 at least. And then obviously you want to factor in things like inflation and then investment returns, etc. But really having an understanding of what's going to be coming in, what's going to be going out, and being realistic of that. And then having an idea that, okay, once I've retired, if you're not planning on working anymore, there's not going to be any more big lump sums coming in. I think people forget that. They go, oh, yeah, but I'll just spend 20 grand because I've got 100,000. It's like, okay, but you're not going to be working to replace that. So having an understanding that, I think, is really important. So, yeah, I've got a question here. So what do you think are some things that people waste money on the most? So I think, first of all, before I approach that question, is what's deemed as waste to one person is going to be different to another. So on I suppose, a broad mindset point of view, the things that people waste money on the most are things that people are doing to impress others. So to me, if you want to go and buy a designer handbag just to impress someone else, that's a waste. No matter who you are, if you're doing it to impress someone else, I don't see how that can bring you happiness internally. Therefore, that's a waste. So that's a real thing from that point of view. But on just, I suppose, a generalized of what people spend the most money on that waste. Cars, which is probably going to be a big one, which I can see a comment, which I'll bring up in a minute. But people replace their cars all the time, think they're doing themselves a favor. Are you really, though? I think that's something you definitely need to consider is, are you actually doing yourself a favor by replacing your car all the time? Cars depreciate. Anything that depreciates really quickly that you're then flipping really quickly. People do spend a lot of money on food, maybe unnecessary, that goes to waste. People replace clothes all the time, but a lot of it comes down to buying things that are purely to impress others. That's the things that people do normally waste a lot of money on. So comment here of cars and phones. So yeah, again, if you're replacing your phone all the time just to show off, then it doesn't make sense. If you're replacing your phone because you're using it 24/7 and you do want the upgraded camera or something like, I replaced mine last year because I was using my camera to film my YouTube videos and I wanted that newer camera to get a little bit better look. And my old one had gone slow and I'm on my phone all the time for work, for business, for YouTube, etc. It made sense. But if you're just buying it because you go, oh, there's a new one out, then that's a waste. So, yeah, food, yeah, definitely people spend a lot of money on food. Again, I enjoy going out for food, going out for dinners, going out for dessert, those things. So I enjoy that. It might cost me a lot of money, but I enjoy that side of it. So I think that's definitely an interesting thing. But there's a lot of food that goes to waste. People go and buy huge amounts when they go to their grocery shopping and then it gets thrown out, or constantly binging out and going out for food and they're just getting takeaway and bringing it home and eating it when they just couldn't be bothered cooking. Those are the things that potentially going to be a bit of a waste. So Pokemon cards are a bad one. Yeah, I guess we can go that. I do have some Pokemon cards I got in a Macca's meal the other day. So they were free, I guess, if you want to look at it like that. So, sorry. But yeah, again, if you don't enjoy getting Pokemon cards and don't enjoy collecting it, don't buy it. If you do enjoy it, is it really a waste? Keep coming back to that. So the other thing I did want to come back to, a bit of a personal thing here. Chris had the comment of running and Audible is king. I am trying to set myself the challenge of starting to run. So I don't really enjoy running that much, but I'm trying to do it for health purposes, get a bit fitter. It's a real challenge, but I definitely am going to try audio books or maybe some podcasts while I run. Typically, I always went music, but try and get me into the thing. I'm going to go for some audio books and that. So a bit of a personal thing that I'm going to be trying to run. My goal is to get to 10 kilometers. So we'll see how that goes. And that's in one sitting, not cumulative. But yeah, that's a goal I'm setting myself. So definitely, we'll see how it goes because, I am not typically a great runner, but we'll see how that goes. That's a bit of a challenge I've set myself. So 2-minute planks every night, do it for me. Yeah, I suppose I can try. I did do some yoga earlier, so definitely trying some different things. So all sold out here in Victoria until Pokemon cards. Yep, I bet. Podcasts are probably too calm for running, good for walking. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is like, oh, how can I listen to something whether I can concentrate? But what I find is that we'll see how it goes. I'll give it a shot. I've gone podcasts for walking as well. We'll see how they go. We'll give it a shot. That's the plan. So, Chris, I was never a great runner, and now what I love. Yeah, well, hopefully that's the case for me. We'll see how it goes. I'll give it a shot. We'll see. That I did go for a run the other day, and about 500 meters in, I felt like I was hating life. So we'll see. It got better as I went on. I just got to push through those first couple kilometers. I think are the toughest for me. So we'll see how that goes. So live a humble life, be grateful and find joy for what you have, and save and invest to retire. Yep, that's pretty much what I'm saying. Is that you be grateful for what you got. You find joy in what you've got, not what you want for others. And you do all those things. You save, you invest. And therefore, you can retire or you can change your lifestyle as you go on and do things you do enjoy. So I do appreciate everyone that's joined. I love seeing all the comments. My laptop is going flat. I forgot to put it on charge. My fault. So I'll wrap things up there. But I do really appreciate everyone that's joined tonight. I've loved interacting with you all. As I said, got a video hopefully coming out Sunday. And then I've got a exciting video that hopefully next week. So I did touch on it. So it was a bit dropped in there earlier. And also really exciting, hopefully tomorrow, or it might be over the weekend, I'll hopefully be buying myself a new camera. So the iPhone will not be being used for more videos, hopefully going forward soon. So that's really exciting. So I'll definitely be keeping people updated on that. Appreciate everyone for joining. Thanks for these last few comments that have come through. Appreciate that. Take care, and I'll see you all soon.